What's going on, guys? Luke Goodish here, checking in. I wanted to offer a few updates on some things. I wanted to share my reading and watch list for the month, as well as kind of end things off with some upcoming releases in the indie and small press world. So let's start with a few updates. The main thing I wanted to talk about today was the two pages I added to my website recently, which are Indie Adventures and Short Stories. So what are those? Starting with Indie Adventures, that's a list of hidden gem books and authors in the men's adventure fiction world. So I'm kind of building out this living document of small press and indie authors that you might not have heard of, but that you definitely need to check out. For example, Charles Millhouse in his Captain Hawkland series is on that list. If you're not reading this, do yourself a favor, pick it up. This is some of the most fun I've had in a book in like years. It is so fun. It's a pulp style adventure story in the vein of Indiana Jones or the Noah Redford adventures, like what I'm doing on this site. It's incredible. I hope to meet Charles Millhouse one day, shake his hand and say, hey, congratulations on making this iconic character. It's stuff like that, though. I want to share these names and these works that people aren't talking about, that don't have a big publishing house or marketing dollars behind them. I want to be a hub, a community of authors supporting authors. So I built that list out. And two things with that. If you're a reader, go to that list and pick one of these books up. Give it a shot. Support a smaller author who doesn't have, like we talked about, the marketing dollars or the teams. Support them. And the second thing is, if you are a writer and you want to be featured on the list, I want you to be featured on the list. So hit me up on Instagram at ls_author. I'll put that in the description below as well. But hit me up. Tell me about what you're writing. Show me where I can find your books. Let me check it out. And if it looks like it's men's adventure fiction, it looks like it kind of fits, I'll put you on that site. I want this to be a living document. I want it to continue to grow. I want to build this community of indie authors bigger and bigger. And if you're an author as well, go on the site, start buying people's books, connecting with them, reach out, make some friends, make some writing friends. Now let's get on to the other page, which was short stories. This is where I want to start. I'm taking submissions. People have been emailing me short stories that they're interested in having up on the site, and I'm putting them up there. Starting with our first one ever, which was You're Welcome, Ralph by Nathaniel Hummel. And guys, I'm going to try to contain my excitement here, but that is such a well-written short story. It's so well written that as a writer, you'll appreciate this. It made me insecure about my ability to write short stories. I was like, okay, that was amazing. That was incredible. I'm going to let it speak for itself. It's a noir action short story that is well worth your time. Just go to the site. I'll put it below. Read You're Welcome, Ralph, and tell me that is not just the coolest, most fun short story you've read in years. It's awesome. I feel nothing but honored to be able to host that on the site. So thank you, Nathaniel Hummel, for graciously letting us host that on the site. You're too awesome. You're too great, and what you're doing is amazing. I want to keep supporting it. So as he feels inclined to keep putting up short stories on there, we'll keep doing it, and you'll keep enjoying it. But we have other authors, like Dustin Carter will be featured next week with his short story. I think it's called The Flood, if I'm remembering correctly. I apologize if I'm not. I'm going to put his up next week, and it's kind of got a Western flair to it, which I love. Yeah, so if you're an author, you've got a short story, hit me up again on Instagram. We'll talk, and I'll give you my email. You can submit that. I'll read it out and see if we can put you on the site. All right, now with that out of the way, let's talk about the reading and watch list for the month. Starting off with these three. Now, I'm not necessarily reading these three. I'm not actually checking these out anytime soon, probably midsummer, I'd say. But these are three vintage paperbacks I got from Beyond Bedtime Books here in Pittsburgh. I just wanted to showcase them because I'm a big pulp fiction fan. I'm a big vintage paperback fan. Maybe so are you. So we got the Oxbow Incident here. I've heard this is an incredible, hold on, I'm dropping these other books. Give me 1 second. I've heard this is an incredible Western with kind of some social commentary in it as well. I love that cover there. The yellow looks good. Don't know much about this, going into it blind, which is always kind of an exciting experience. Next is Ride Beyond Vengeance. Now, going to be fully transparent here. I only picked this one up because it's got red pages and that cover. Are you kidding me? Look at that cover. So I picked it up for the cover, but I am gonna have to check it out, read it, see if it's any good. Hopefully it is, because I love that. All right. And last but not least, The Contender. If you know anything about me, you know that I've been writing a boxing story, a boxing novel, since I was in third grade. And it's the most kind of important story in my life. And boxing is kind of a massive part of my life. And The Contender has always been one of my favorite, if not my very favorite, young adult book. And this is not the original cover, but this is an early cover that I've never seen in public, not in a real setting in my life. But Beyond Bedtime Books, as always, blew my expectations out of the water when I saw this thing there, and I was like, wow, Jamie has this? You're kidding me. So I had to pick it up. Because before I had this, quite frankly, horrible cover. If you've seen it, it's like a massive guy who's probably in the heavyweight division, kind of sitting by the ropes. And if you know anything about the book, the character is scrawny. It doesn't make any sense. It's not a good picture. I don't like that cover. Sorry. I'm a cover snob for sure. I fully admit that. I'm sorry. Apologies for the break and flow. Duty calls as a parent. Got the littlest one with me now. But let's talk about what I'm actually reading at the moment. So starting off, we got Stephen Hunter's Time to Hunt, sniper-centric novel from the master himself of sniper novels, Stephen Hunter, who wrote Point of Impact, which became the Shooter movie and eventually the Shooter television show. So what I love about the Stephen Hunter works is that he's got the most unique and eloquent prose for the genre. Really sticks out as something different and almost poetic, which I enjoy. I like. Speaking of poetic writing, working my way through The Brave Cowboy now with by Edward Abbey. This is just literary fiction at its finest, with poetic prose and some of the most flowery lyrical prose I've read in a while, and I've enjoyed it. Right, I love thrillers, and thrillers are my favorite types of books. But I do love literary fiction every once in a while, and The Brave Cowboy is a nice mix, because if you know me, I love westerns. It kind of has not so much, but a little bit of a vibe of First Blood, because it's a cowboy at the end of the era, like in the 50s, who can't move on, won't follow the laws, and gets hunted by law enforcement after a jailbreak, and he's gonna live off the land and evade cops. At least that's what the back reads and where it's headed so far. I'm only about halfway through. My reading has become substantially slower now that I have two kids, full-time job, and multiple writing projects that I'm working on. But either way, we're trying. Speaking of trying, took 3 months to get through this one, but we got Moonraker done by Ian Fleming, which is my first kind of jump into literary James Bond. And I enjoyed it. I first off, I had a lot of fun from a thriller aspect, kind of learning from a master of the genre like Ian Fleming. That was really cool. But more so, it was really interesting to see the differences between um, Bond on the page and Bond in film. Yeah, you just have to check it out for yourself. But there's a few differences, kind of in the alcohol and drug use. That was a little different to me, and also kind of the mundane nature of James Bond's job. A lot of the time struck me, and I found that really interesting, and fascinating. All right, guys. Now let's talk about of my watch list, what I've been watching, and I can answer that with one series and one series alone: Magnum PI. I've been I picked up the first four seasons of like the classic, real Tom Selleck Magnum PI, not that remake nonsense. I've actually never seen it, but how can you? Whoa! How can you beat Tom Selleck? How can you beat that mustache? Right? My good friend, we were hanging out last Sunday, and he pulled out an episode of Magnum. We watched it together, and we were just talking about how great Tom Selleck was, how great the character of Magnum was, how well the writing, how good the writing was, and what a nice take it was for the thriller genre. And after that conversation, after that episode, I was hooked. I was like, I need to watch this whole series now. Last but not least, I wanted to share a few upcoming releases in the Indian small press world, starting with Cazadores by my friend Zach James. Two Americans captured, a cutthroat cartel, a grab bag of special operators and federal agents, a non-existent timeline. So this is a part of his modern mercenary series, which I call the Underground King of modern indie thrillers. If Zach James is crushing it. If you haven't yet checked him out, do so. I have an interview with him up on the website, or not on the website. I have an interview of him right here on YouTube, and he recently last year wrote this sci-fi called Occupant that blew my mind, that I couldn't shut up about at the time. So go check that interview out. Go check one of his books out, and most importantly, pick up Cazadores, which comes out April 1st. All right, next, I don't have the book on me because it's an ebook that I have. I need to get a print copy, but Steve Stratton, this is his challenge coin. Steve Stratton wrote the Shadow Tear series. Lance Beowulf is the main character, who is one of my favorite protagonists in modern thrillers. He's up there with Garrett Cole for me. And guys, Steve Stratton is not only just a super nice and interesting guy. He's been on the Thriller Zone. Go check him out there. But he writes incredibly well. He writes again from like a Jack Carr perspective of he knows what he's talking about. He's lived it. He's been there, and he brings that authenticity to the page. And Lance Beowulf is so cool. It's almost he's got like this Louis L'Amour vibe to him. So for me, I'm a huge fan. He's one of my favorite working authors, and he's got a novella coming out called Warrior's Path. Comes out 6/11. Warrior's Path. You know I think that's another Louis L'Amour nod. Just saying, I see a lot of Louis L'Amour nods in Stratton. You'll see a lot of Louis L'Amour nods in my things. So I think that's why I love him so much. But yeah, 6/11, Warrior's Path. And last but not least, good friend of mine, Jake Widmer. Odd Job is a recent release, right? This is my advanced copy that he graciously shared with me. But this is out now, and it's in preparation for the third Chris Foley book that you can check out here soon. Before Stardust and the Bratva, Chris Foley waged war in the mountains of Afghanistan. So you can pick up this short story now. So that is all I wanted to say for today. I appreciate you listening. I know this turned out to be way longer than I thought. But yeah, go check out the website, see those two pages, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.